Thousands of years ago, the Akkadian Empire rose to dominate Mesopotamia, uniting city-states under powerful kings. But then, suddenly, it vanished, leaving ruins, inscriptions, and unanswered questions. What happened to the Akkadians, one of humanity's first great empires? Before the Age of Empires, there was Mesopotamia, the fertile land nestled between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. For centuries, this cradle of civilization was a vibrant but fractured world. Advanced Sumerian city-states like Ur, Uruk, and Kish flourished, giving humanity writing, the wheel, and complex urban life. Yet, they were locked in a near-constant cycle of conflict, each vying for dominance over precious land and water, unable to achieve lasting unity. This was the world awaiting a figure of unprecedented ambition. Out of this turmoil, a new power emerged from the north. Around 2334 BCE, a man named Sargon ascended the throne of Akkad. His origins are shrouded in legend. A story tells of him being set adrift in a basket on the river as a baby, only to be rescued and raised to become the cupbearer for a king. But whatever his true beginnings, his destiny was far grander. Through a series of brilliant and ruthless military campaigns, Sargon systematically conquered the Sumerian city-states. He defeated his main rival, Lugalzage C of Uruk, and in a powerful symbolic act, washed his weapons in the sea, signifying his control over all of Mesopotamia, from the northern plains to the Persian Gulf. But Sargon's genius was not just in conquest, it was in creation. He didn't just defeat his rivals, he absorbed them into something entirely new, the world's first true empire. He established a magnificent new capital, Akkad, whose exact location remains one of archaeology's great mysteries. To secure his rule, he broke the power of the old city-based aristocracies, replacing local rulers with loyal Akkadian governors who answered only to him. The backbone of his power was another revolutionary concept, a professional, standing army. Unlike the citizen levies of the Sumerian cities, Sargon's force of 400 elite soldiers was permanently employed, well-equipped, and fiercely loyal to the king himself, who, as the records state, ate with him daily. This military machine not only crushed rebellions, but also secured the arteries of the empire's economy, its vast trade networks. Under the peace imposed by Akkadian might, commerce flourished on an international scale. Akkadian merchants established trade routes that stretched far beyond Mesopotamia. They sailed to Dilmun, modern-day Bahrain, for copper, to Magan, likely Oman, for valuable stone, and even reached the distant civilization of Meluha in the Indus Valley. To facilitate this sprawling economic system, Sargon introduced one of his most lasting innovations, the standardization of weights, measures, and even the calendar across his entire realm, creating a unified economic zone. This vast enterprise was managed by a sophisticated bureaucracy. The Akkadians adapted the Sumerian cuneiform script to write their own Semitic language, and an army of scribes used it to record everything. On thousands of clay tablets, they documented tax collections, tracked grain distribution, detailed trade contracts, and preserved royal edicts. These humble records, etched in mud and baked by the sun, would survive for over 4,000 years, giving us an intimate glimpse into the administration of the world's first empire and the vision of the man who built it. For over a century, the Akkadian Empire stood as a monument to human ambition. But by around 2154 BCE, the foundations of this mighty edifice began to crumble. The collapse was not a single event, but a slow, agonizing unraveling, a perfect storm of internal decay and external pressures. The end of the empire was a complex process, a period of decline that historians and archaeologists are still working to fully understand, a puzzle with pieces scattered across millennia. Across the former heartland of Akkad, the archaeological record tells a chilling story. Excavations reveal cities abandoned with an eerie suddenness. We find homes left strangely intact, as if their occupants expected to return. Tools lie on workbenches, pottery is stacked by the hearth, and fields were left unharvested. The intricate network of irrigation canals, the lifeblood of Mesopotamian agriculture, silted up from neglect. This wasn't the aftermath of a great battle. It was the quiet signature of a society disintegrating from within, a population forced to flee not a conquering army, but a more insidious foe: starvation. For centuries, the blame was placed on outsiders. Later Mesopotamian chronicles paint a grim picture of invasion by the Akkadians, a tribal people from the Zagros Mountains, describing them as a destructive plague. This narrative of barbarian hordes overwhelming a civilized empire was long accepted as the primary cause. However, modern archaeology offers a more nuanced perspective. While the Akkadians certainly took advantage of the power vacuum, the evidence for widespread, systematic destruction on their part is surprisingly scarce. They appear less as the architects of the collapse and more as opportunists who moved into an already crumbling house. So, what truly brought the world's first empire to its knees? A growing body of scientific evidence points to a far more powerful force: climate change. Paleoclimatologists have identified a major global climate event that began around 2200 BCE, known as the 4.2 kiloyear event. Analysis of lake sediment cores and dust layers across the Middle East reveal the onset of a severe, multi-generational drought. This aridification drastically reduced the flow of the Tigris and Euphrates, causing catastrophic crop failures and widespread famine. An empire built on agricultural surplus could not survive without it. The central authority crumbled as it could no longer feed its people or pay its soldiers. Weakened from within by hunger, the Akkadian state became fragile, setting the stage for its final demise. Before we continue, if you love uncovering lost civilizations, ancient mysteries, and unexplained history, make sure to subscribe. You'll never miss a story like this. Several theories attempt to explain the Akkadian collapse. Invasion by Akkadians from the Zagros Mountains, environmental catastrophe, possibly severe drought lasting decades, internal revolt and political instability. Archaeological evidence shows abandoned granaries and collapsed buildings, but no single explanation fits all the evidence. Despite their disappearance, the Akkadians left a lasting impact. Standardized administrative systems adopted by later empires, innovations in language, literature, and law, cultural and religious influences that persisted through Babylonian and Assyrian civilizations. The Akkadian Empire, humanity's first grand experiment in imperial rule, did not simply fade, it collapsed. For centuries, its cities lay silent, its story fragmented across thousands of clay tablets. We are left with the profound question: what brought this powerhouse to its knees? The search for a single culprit, a devastating drought, invading hordes, or internal rebellion, is tempting, but the evidence points to a more complex reality. The fall of Akkad was not a singular event, but a cascade of interlocking crises, a perfect storm. The primary catalyst appears to have been the 4.2 kiloyear climate event. Scientific data paints a grim picture of a severe multi-generational drought that choked the rivers and withered the crops, shattering the empire's agricultural foundation. The once bountiful land between the rivers could no longer support the centralized administration that depended on its surplus. This environmental stress created a vulnerability that rippled through every level of Akkadian society, turning stability into desperation. Into this crucible of climate change stepped other forces. The Akkadians, a tribal people from the Zagros Mountains, exploited the chaos, raiding deep into the heartland. But to blame them alone ignores the deep internal fractures. Royal inscriptions reveal a constant struggle against rebellions. The very system of provincial governors designed for control became a vector for fragmentation, as local leaders reasserted their autonomy in the face of a weakened central authority. The empire was pulled apart from within, even as it was assaulted from without. Yet, even in its collapse, the Akkadian Empire left an indelible legacy. The idea of a multi-ethnic, centrally governed state became the blueprint for subsequent Mesopotamian powers, from Babylon to Assyria. Their administrative innovations and the Akkadian language itself endured for centuries. Today, the story is still being written, not with a stylus, but with the tools of modern archaeology. Each cuneiform tablet deciphered, each settlement layer excavated, adds a new pixel to our picture of the past. The answer is a mosaic of evidence we are still assembling. The Akkadian Empire stands as a powerful testament to both human ambition and our vulnerability. Its rise was meteoric, its fall a cautionary tale that echoes to our own time. The full story remains buried, waiting for those brave enough to continue the search beneath the timeless sands of Mesopotamia.